I didn't identify as a runner until very recently. So during college, I had a friend who was really into running and decided to challenge myself again, just really with a health focus. Like running's not necessarily my thing, but I know if I set up a challenge for myself, it's going to help encourage the healthy habits and hopefully lose weight because that's another thing on the side that I've been overweight my whole life. So during college with this running friend, we decided to sign up for our first half marathon. I had no clue what I was doing. It's so funny thinking back on it because I didn't follow any sort of a training plan. I also had this very stubborn challenge that I never wanted to walk during the whole thing. I wanted to run the whole time, even through the aid stations. I was this goof, like trying to grab the water cup, spilling half the cup all over my face, trying to keep running because I had this pointless goal. Oh, I also I wasn't fueling whatsoever. So hit a huge wall around mile 10.
Ouch.
Wow.
Really struggled for the last 5K. 100% had the thought of why do people do marathons? That's nuts. I literally have to double what I just did. Why would I want to do that? As much as I wanted to keep the good habits going, and I for a little bit I carried on with some shorter runs just to kind of stay fairly healthy, but slowly over the course of 2020 that fell off course and absolutely I put on a lot of weight by by the early 2021. I weighed the heaviest I ever had in my life, and I just kept pushing it off further and further. Like I'm gonna lose the weight eventually. I don't want to be, and it was kind of this difficult balance of I don't want to be too hard on myself right now because we're
Yeah.
all struggling. Everything's like we're all coping in different ways. My unfortunate unhealthy way of coping is by binge eating and eating really unhealthy foods. Um, so that was my go-to, but I kept it in the back of my mind. It's like I'm gonna run this marathon, and it's gonna push me back into reforming my healthy habits, my good routines. But of course, it just got pushed off so long. It really things my health got out of hand. But
What was your wake up call? I mean, sometimes it takes something like an outside force saying like you can't continue down this path or
Yeah.
it's going to be really hard to get where you want to be. Was there something like that for you?
yes, I think it started with my spring 2021 annual physical with my doctor. Was the first time I'd ever had a doctor actually say, "You're really overweight, and you need to do something about this."
Wow.
Like, if,
How did
Hmm.
that hit you?
I honestly, it feels so embarrassing to say, but I was in denial about it still because it's like, well, he doesn't know I'm going to be running a marathon. I'm gonna get in shape. I'm gonna lose this weight. It's not that big of a deal. But then kind of round two when it really hit me was getting the blood work back, and I was very rapidly approaching being pre-diabetic. And
Yikes.
Hmm.
Right.
always throughout my life in the back of my mind when I've kind of fallen off course with my health habits and my kind of when I've gotten my annual physicals done and everything, my numbers, it's always been I've been in a healthy, reasonable range. And that was the first time I ever had been like all of my numbers were on the high side of things. It's like, okay, I can't get away with this anymore because my body is telling me that this isn't working. Yeah, that was the first big sign. I love being active. I love being able to go out and hike and ski and just explore and do great stuff without any complications. And I want to be able to do that for as long as I possibly can in life. And then honestly, listening to the MTA podcast because I guess I hadn't mentioned I've been listening to you all for probably about 3 years now. Absolutely love the podcast and you have one of the reasons I love it so much are all of the amazing stories from the listeners and
Mhm.
just the huge range of people and I keep telling people it's like if you listen to the MTA podcast you'll hear there are people who have never run in their life until their 60s and then they build up and run a marathon. It's like that is incredible. That's so cool. It's so inspirational. And so being in this state in my health, seeing those warning signs, and knowing I had the race coming up, was going to turn 30 soon. It's like this is the time to get my life together. This like I need to change something. I can't keep putting this off. So I'm going to make a change, and I'm going to use the marathon to help get me there. After listening to the MTA podcast and hearing about the benefits of coaching, my goal was not just to run the marathon. I didn't want to cross the finish line, be absolutely dead and questioning why did I decide to do this? This was terrible. I wanted to genuinely enjoy the race and enjoy the challenge.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's smart.
And I, with all of my improper training of running before, I knew I didn't know what I was doing. And yes, I could look up a plan online, but I also could get a coach and have them help me along the way, customize it to what I need to my goals. And all I have to do is follow my coach's instructions and I will run a great race. So that's when I decided I want to sign up for a coach because I want to run this race. I want to love the race. I want to do it properly without injury. And I reached out to MTA.
All right. So how did it unfold, and when did it get hard? And when it got hard, I'm going to ask if, not if, but when, because it's a marathon, right? When it got hard, how did you keep yourself going?
Moving toward mile 20. So that was the big part, was what I was looking at is mile 20, because that's the furthest I'd ever run up to that point. I was obviously tired at that point. It was getting challenging, but I was so inspired from that point on to the end of the race, because literally every step I was taking was the furthest I've ever run before. Get to that 21 mile marker. It's like, I've run 21 miles. This is
Yeah.
crazy. 22.
Uncharted territory.
Yeah, it's like, and it was like, I am in it. I am here. I am running a marathon right now. And that my so I had mantras through this, through my training and absolutely during the race. And they were, I am a runner, I am an athlete, and I have what it takes to run a marathon and change my life.
Wow.
Where have I heard that before?
But it's, yeah, and those were so key, because I didn't think of myself as a runner, which was so stupid. Like I'm out running. I'm running 4 days a week. Why am I not a runner? But I just had this mental block of, because I've never really felt like an athlete. I did sports in school and stuff, but didn't succeed with it. I wasn't winning medals or anything. I wasn't placing first in anything. It was hard for me to think of myself as an athlete, but that was my mantra, because it's like, I am a runner. Like, I'm running a marathon. Not a lot of people do this. It's like, regardless of my speed, regardless of anything, I'm doing this amazing thing. So I need to convince myself that I am a runner and I am an athlete.
That's a huge barrier for a lot of people. Like, I'm surprised the people I talk to, they're like, they don't consider themselves runners. And I'm like, why not? But I do remember like having to go through that myself and like overcome that barrier because I was never athletic, didn't consider myself an athlete, and embracing that I am a runner felt really big. And I just
Yeah.
I just absolutely love it when people, embrace that themselves because it is so true. It's if you run, you are a runner, and that's a fact. No one can take that away from you.
Absolutely.
So you crossed the finish line. What was your time? You remember?
Yep. So I don't remember the exact time, but it was 4:56 something. So I
Wow.
Ooh,
did. I
nice.
was a few minutes under that 5 hour mark. Was super excited about that. The race was exactly how I wanted it to be. I never once had a moment of questioning, why am I here? This sucks. This is awful. Why did I decide to do this? The whole time, even as tough as it got in the last few miles, was like, I'm running a marathon. Like, I am achieving this goal. I am doing this right now. This is amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I crossed that finish line. I was so happy,
Oh.
so excited. Like, immediately I had the thought of, like, 100% I'm doing this again. And even still sore, it's like, I'm doing another one, and I signed up for the Richmond Marathon for November.
Oh.